This meeting is being recorded.
Good morning. Good morning. Wait for another 30 seconds or so. All right. Good morning. Just take a few seconds to settle down, gather yourselves, pay attention to your breathing. Breathe in and out normally. Breathe in, and as you breathe in, imagine you're breathing in lots of love. And as you breathe out, let go of all the feelings of being unloved, being rejected, or being not able to love. Continue breathing normally. Breathe in love from the universe, love for yourself, and breathe out any feelings of rejections. Express gratitude to any three things. Could be your parents, your siblings, your boss, your house, your bed, anything. Express your gratitude. Or to anyone who you may never have expressed your gratitude to, you can express that now. And welcome. We will be discussing some of the concepts as given by Rudolf Steiner, particularly for teachers. I mean, here teachers are also parents. Anybody who is able to guide the children by understanding ourselves first and thereby understanding the children we work with, and therefore be in this position that we understand where the children could be heading in the wrong direction and kind of be able to correct them in a way children will accept our suggestions. So that is the effort in this 40 minutes that we meet every morning for the next 4 weeks. And the first concept I would like to bring to you is that pertaining to the first stage of child development, which is from birth till age 7. It is imitation. Children predominantly learn by imitating adults around them. Predominantly, and that's the way they are learning. That's the only way, pretty much, because they really don't understand how to feel things or how to think about things or judge and discriminate and all of that. So they just look at you, they imitate. And it's not just limited to the first stage of development. That is the predominant way of learning. And learning through imitation is one of the characteristics that human being has. We keep imitating people. I mean, if you are a fan of a cooking show and you want to look up at recipes, you will log into some of your favorite chefs online, and you would like to chop vegetables like him or present certain food like her or somebody like that, right? So that's imitating. You know, we like somebody's doing a certain way, somebody dressing up a certain way, somebody talking a certain way, and we would like to be that. And we are also learning through imitation. However, we are adults, so we have some kind of evolved ego, evolved thinking in terms of what I like, what I do not like. And I may say, no, I don't like this way of presentation, or I do not have these kind of dishes and I do not want to go buy those. So I'll alternate it, I'll modify it to present it in my own way. You may get inspired and do it in your way. You kind of change it. But children are not like that. Children just do what we do. It is not just about seeing what they see in us. It is with their whole body as one sense organ. They eat like you. They walk like you. They imitate your gestures. They imitate your eye movements. They react by watching you. You know, if they saw that your eyebrows go up, and if that is how you typically do when you're angry, and the child sees eyebrows going up, they just know how to escape from that situation, or move away, move out of that situation. Or if they see you upset, they know how to shut up, because that is how they have experienced. Now they know the reaction. They're imitating in the sense of developing a reaction. And when they are in a situation that they get angry, they get upset, they will do exactly like how we do. And it is not just one person, it's not just their class teacher, not just the mother or the father. It is a significant influence they have when they're growing up. So it could be grandparents, it could be a pet that they may have, it could be a TV character that they are watching every single day. It could be the nature. If you take them out in the nature and have children take care of a plant, talk to a plant, water the plant, observe the plant, they start imitating plants. You know, that's why they say when we go out in the nature, we feel more calm. You know, take a walk in the nature, you come back more settled, more grounded. So somewhere we are imitating what is around us. And predominantly it is either the parents or the teachers that are around children. They naturally have that influence of us over them. And once they come to school, you know, around 2.5, 3.5, when they start coming to school, children, their friends also have an influence on them. So parents will typically complain that my child has started learning a bad language going to the school after starting the school. And it is not that the child is picking it up on purpose. Also, it is not that they know the meaning of those words and they're not intentionally using them. However, They're just listening to those words and they just pick it up. There are many other factors in this also. It could be in the same environment, 10 children in the same environment, and an adult in that environment could be doing the same thing over and over, and 8 of them will pick up, 2 of them may not pick up. But we are talking about archetypal characteristic here, and this is the more common pattern. However, children learn speaking by imitation. Children learn their food habits by imitation. Children learn the tone of talking, the tone of hospitality, the tone of communication that exists in the family through imitation. So lots of things happen by imitation. And many children growing up, we do have different learning styles. And if there is a kind of aesthetic child, they will see us do and then learn doing. If it's an auditory child, they will hear us out and learn by hearing, learn by touching, learn by seeing. So all of these are forms of imitation as well. However, after 7 years of age, around 7 years of age, children develop certain other abilities, faculties as a human being. So they will either like my tone, and if they don't like my tone, they tune me out. So they have that ability after, graduating from their first stage of development, when their first tooth falls out. That is when the first stage of development is told to be complete. It's a natural fallout of the teeth. It's not the doctor pulling out due to some dental issues, but naturally the teeth falls out around 6.5, 7 years of age. That is when the physical body has developed and is ready for the next stage of growth, of emotional development. Until then, imitation is the predominant way of learning. So it becomes extremely important for us as adults to be conscious of the way I do things, the way I speak, the way I behave, the way I have my beliefs and values, the way I think. Every way that I am has an influence of the child under 7. And many of us may think that, after the child goes to school, when child is not around, we can fight, we can argue, we can debate, we can, do whatever we want because child is not around me to look at me. However, it may appear, out of sight is out of mind, maybe they're not, witnessing us, but we do carry that energy, somewhere where if we have gone through like a rough day, the child will be easily able to feel that something is wrong here. And they will start behaving differently. Somewhere they know to withdraw or to become hyper or to not bother my parents now. And, this happened to me yesterday. I was with a parent and child, and the child was quite hyper. Parent was not so. So I asked the child, is your parent this way all the time? And the boy goes, yeah, sometimes. Then I said, what do you do? I don't know. And do you keep quiet? She goes, yeah, why? Because then my father will beat me up. And so how long will you keep quiet? Until my father starts smiling. And if the father doesn't smile in the duration that the son is awake or around, the child will always feel, okay, control, don't speak. So then there's a fear that sets in. And if this is a repetitive pattern on day in, day out basis, the child will somehow build this thinking that don't speak when someone is not smiling. And this has an effect on us as adults as well. Now, we have learned this as a survival mechanism as a kid, but as an adult, when someone is not smiling, I'm not speaking. And somewhere it becomes a handicap. So we need to be aware of our reactions, what's bothering us. I mean, you could tell them, you could be open about it, even to a child very, very young. I'll be back in 20 minutes after I do this breathing exercise, calm myself down, because there's something that's bothering me. Child may never understand it, but the gestures that you're using, you are quiet, then you're saying something, then you're gone for 20 minutes, you come back, you are a different person, more in control now, able to smile and play, even if it is for 5-10 minutes. And the child is like, okay, they'll communicate to me when something isn't right, and they'll come back to me when it is right, and I can be myself. And the child will imitate that as they grow up. If they are not certain of their feelings, if they're unable to be social or participate, the child will have an example now. They'll say, okay, give me 20 minutes, I'll go do something, come back. We don't know what the child may do. Father may have gone inside, did some breathing exercises, drank some water, whatever, come back. The child may go back, do something. And if the child is old enough, and if the example is strong enough, the child will ask, what do you do when you get upset? And father may share whatever he does, and the child may use those tips and kind of control, manage himself before he resumes back to be in the group of people. So imitation works both ways. I mean, children will definitely imitate you in every which way. So the more we are expressing the control we have on ourselves, the balance we have on ourselves, the kind of activities that I do, the way I am firm, especially for teachers, you have 40 children in the class. And if you look back on your days, it is typically the same expressions that you use, and you see children behaving the same every single day. So I'll be screaming at the top of my voice, be quiet, and otherwise I will walk off to the class, whatever. Children continue doing whatever, and we neither walk out nor do we keep ourselves from repeating. So the pattern repeats. So they're just imitating you. You raise your voice, they raise their voice, because they have not seen you walk away, and we are just sort of giving them a threat that I don't follow up with my action. Children don't trust us at some point of time. The ones that you are working with would be like around the transition year from their first stage of child development to second, and or in the second stage of development till about 14 years of age. They have lost their trust, so they don't see a firm adult who will say something and follow up with that. So they'll keep doing whatever they have to do. So the lesson they learned is ignore. Ignore has become the imitation, because we have ignored our own words also. We have ignored our actions, our speech. So children have learned the essence of it and have started ignoring as well. So you see that a lot, even in the families. You may have only one child. You have the same set of instructions that you give every day. Go study, otherwise you will not be watching TV. And we really don't go watch out on what they study or sit with them to see what they study. So go study. So the child will pretend to do something because he knows that we are not going to come and check on her. So the imitation is, again, do whatever because nobody cares around here. The same thing, if you look, reflect on yourselves, you would be doing the same thing too. That has become our way to survive. That has become our way to behave on day-to-day basis. So it becomes extremely important practice for us. If you can begin with reflecting your mornings and your evenings with where was I imitating somebody? Where was my child imitating me? And do I want my children to be learning? And initially, it may be an effort that you will sit out and do it. But once you have developed it as a practice, you could just be walking into the classroom or into your home and thinking, my actions are going to be imitated, observed and imitated. So how do I want to behave today? What words do I want to be telling the children today? How do I give instructions so I do not repeat myself again and again, not just in the same period, but every single period that I'm in their classroom this year and next year and the following year. And that is when you see, especially with little older children, we become such a predictable adults. They do something and I have lost my cool here. And half the class goes in shouting and the rest half children are just enjoying. Oh my God. I mean, they may put a long face. Initially they did. The first 7 years of life, they were figuring out how to react to an adult's behavior or expression. And they have got those skills on hand, and especially if you're in grade 1 and above, children just know how to ignore you completely, how to not take the words seriously. And it's not just with one person, though. They may have experienced this at home from a grandparent. Okay, and if this is repeating every single day at home from the grandparent, they acquire that ability and apply it to every other adult they encounter. Same thing, other way is also true. If there is a grandparent who is very grounded, who's telling beautiful stories, who's just quiet and does not react, settles down, the child will also do the same thing with the larger world when they are out there. So imitation has a tremendous power to shape the destiny of the child. And fortunately, we are its custodian. We are in the space where we can influence a lot of children, provided we can manage ourselves at this point of time. I mean, if we were raised fantastically, we had like great role models around us, my very, very rhythmical family life, very predictable mom who did certain things certain way, and a predictable dad who we could talk with. There was this unconditional love from mother and conditional love from the father, not like a strict dictatorial kind, but then the child did not take everything for granted. But as a mother with unconditional love, the children could just come and share whatever without thinking if she was in a good mood or not. But with father, there was a little restraint. I mean, this is deliberate, this is planned, where we know there is checks and balance. Someone is giving me everything that I want. It need not be materialistic stuff, but then the attention, the care, without any restrictions. And then there is someone who is questioning me for certain things. Then I need to be careful before I do anything. So, and it need not be mother and father being unconditional love and conditional love. We could switch roles. It could be some older brother who will question me, or grandparent who is giving me unconditional love. It could be anybody, any significant other person around the child when the child is growing up. So if we can build that kind of an environment consciously, some places it may happen automatically. But in many situations, we have to build it very consciously. Being aware as to what is this I want to do? Do I want to do it like this? And observing when I speak out certain things, observe how the child is responding. Is the child comfortable? Do you see the child like make a small face and walk away somewhere withdrawn? Or if a child is throwing tantrums, shouting, screaming, crying, pushing, pulling, hitting, whatever, and expressing the disagreement, expressing the discontentment, the child will not know, may not have words, will not have words. But then it becomes a responsibility to speak in the language that we want to hear the child speak as they grow up. I cannot be using bad language and expect children to use beautiful language. I cannot say, oh, my childhood was bad and I didn't have anybody to coach me, and now that I'm here to coach you, listen to me. Won't work. The change must be brought in us. Children are never to be blamed because they're just imitating their environment. If you think you are balanced in the house to the best possible extent, and if you are in integrity, if you are in love with yourself and with the things around you, and the child is misbehaving, and you don't understand where the child is picking it up from, go find out about their friends, about who they play with in the evening for 2 hours. Children will have a greater influence from their peer group. So some children, especially around age 5, 6, 7, they do get influenced by their friends outside of the home. And we will have to check out those influences. The way teacher is in the classroom, if I'm a parent, if teacher is using the abusive language, if teacher is not in control of her emotions, if teacher is just loud, and some children may get scared just by the loud voice that we use. Am I paying attention to the way children are responding to me? Am I aware of my anxieties, my fears, my rejections? And am I working on healing them, or am I just blaming someone else? The minute we hear, especially adults, blaming somebody else, you can assume that they have not taken charge for their life, have given up my well-being, my happiness to someone else. So I've become like a puppet. You can say anything and I will. Yeah, somebody's saying something. Okay. So it becomes important to reflect upon my own behavior, my own actions, my own reactions, my own upbringing, my own role models on daily basis. It's like taking shower every day, eating every day. You have to do soul cleansing every day. It's not just the body cleansing. You have to do it every single day to be able to begin healing for myself. And it's a process. It's going to take a long time, but it's worth the beginning, because as a parent, I'm influencing my kids to be happy human beings growing up. Or as a teacher, I am working with a minimum of 200 children every single day. Every single day. So the question is, am I worthy of imitation? Can people just close their eyes and imitate me and know that they'll be happy for the rest of life? This is the question for you to ponder upon today and come up with a few situations, a few habits that we may be having where we think we are worthy of imitation, and maybe become aware of certain things that we may be saying, talking, behaving, where we are definitely not worthy of imitation. And the minute we become aware to it, the minute we become present to it, it's half the problem solved. The rest half is in your daily effort in bringing attention to it and doing these little course corrections as you go. So you could be worthy of imitation.